Welcome back to Landlord Coffee Talk, Episode 5, brought to you by Sharbetdjian's office at the Southern California Apartment Group. Today, we're diving into a rapid-fire Q&A session addressing questions from landlords reaching out to us about tenant screening. Joining us is landlord and eviction attorney Anthony Marinaccio.
Good morning.
Hi, Anthony.
How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm good.
Are you excited to be here?
I am. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Before I start firing off these questions to you, tell me a little about yourself.
My name is Anthony Marinaccio. My office is Marinaccio Law. I'm located in Glendale, California. I've been practicing for about 15 years. I mostly represent landlords, tenants in landlord-tenant disputes, and as well as evictions.
Awesome. I know you've helped a lot with our clients, and these are some common questions that we get often. So we figured, why not bring you into studio today? We can broadcast this out to the rest of our viewers and the rest of our landlords. So you ready to get into it?
Yes, I am.
All right, let's do it. All right, Anthony. Our first question is Gloria from Downey. She asks, credit scores tell a lot about the applicant's payment history. Am I allowed to reject applications purely based on credit scores? I don't want to accept an application with a credit score less than 680.
As long as you have the same policy towards all potential tenants,
Okay.
you can always use a credit score as a determining factor to allow a tenant to move in or not.
Yes. And you want to remain consistent with the rest of your applications and tenants that are screened.
Correct. You should be consistent with every person who applies.
Fantastic. Next question is Michael from Bellflower. He asks, I posted an ad on Zillow for my available 1-bedroom plus 1-bathroom unit. I'm getting calls asking if I take Section 8. I've never had a Section 8 tenant before. I'm not even set up with the city, and I don't even know how to accept a Section 8 payment. I've never been able to process one before. Can I just tell them, no, I don't take Section 8?
In California, source of income is actually could be considered discrimination. What that means is you cannot on an advertisement or in any blanket statement say, I do not accept Section 8.
Okay.
Every Section 8 applicant would still have to apply and would still have to do whatever is required in your application process.
Got it.
However, just saying no Section 8 isn't allowed anymore.
Okay.
The law recently changed a few years ago on that.
Understood. Armin from Montebello asks, I have a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit being advertised. It is a very small unit, and I can't imagine more than 2 people living in this unit, even though it's a 2-bedroom. It is too small. Can I just put in an ad maximum 2 occupants? Can I reject applications with more than 2 occupants?
So the general consensus, although there's no law on this per se, the general consensus is 2 persons per bedroom plus 1 person. And the reason that is the consensus is you don't want to discriminate against families. And so saying 2 persons in a 2-bedroom would, by definition, almost discriminate most families.
Sure.
So generally for a 2-bedroom, for example, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, the consensus would be the max occupancy should be 5 people.
Okay. And we wouldn't recommend Armin to put on any of his advertisements maximum 2 occupants allowed, very small unit.
That is, you can say small unit,
Right.
but it is not, you shouldn't say max occupancy of 2 persons for a 2-bedroom.
Understood. George from Pasadena asks, my 4-unit property has a no pet policy. I have an application who has 1 emotional support animal. Can I reject this application?
No, you cannot, as long as a person provides the right documentation required in California law. That emotional support animal is not considered a pet and would be allowed to move in.
Okay. George again from Pasadena asks, can I charge a pet deposit for this emotional support animal?
No, you cannot. Because an emotional support animal is not considered a pet, it would not require a pet deposit, and it would actually be illegal to require that.
Okay, I understand. And they want to be diligent in getting all the right documentation from the applicant to be able to determine if this is in fact an emotional support animal or not?
Correct. And the law changed recently on that, and it requires certain doctor notes that someone's actually seen the doctor. And so as long as that person complies with that requirement, they would be allowed to bring the pet in.
And they are allowed to ask for these documents?
Correct. You are allowed to ask for the doctor's note.
Got it. Jade from Glendale. I have an applicant and I'd like to get more details on the income as part of the income verification process. Can I ask for bank statements? He sent over the bank statements and blacked out the transactions and is just only showing me the balance. Can I ask for the full bank statement without any blackouts?
Yes, you can. You can ask for any bank statements that are not redacted, as long as as long as you have the same policy for all applicants. If somebody provides you redacted information, you can require them to provide you the unredacted document.
Okay, and you want to remain consistent all throughout all your applicants.
Correct.
Got it. Jade from Glendale again. Can I go as far as calling their employer and verifying their salary and employment status?
Yes, you can call an employer to verify status of employment and also the income.
Okay, great. Robert from Orange. Can I ask for references?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Mark from Monrovia. An applicant provided me with a complete application that he submitted for another unit that he ended up not getting. Can I use the same application and credit score? He's asking if he could just submit his file over to me for review. Or should I have him complete a new set of applications with running a new credit score?
So my suggestion would be to have them fill out the new application and also to run your own credit score. Recently, I have come across some cases where some people provide fraudulent documents with regards to the credit score, and it's not that difficult to do. So it would be better for you to run your own credit score. And also, when it comes to the application, it should be the same application for all potential applicants as opposed to providing someone from somewhere else.
Got it. And this brings me to Mark, which can elaborate a little bit on our last question is, can I charge the tenant for applying for the unit?
Yes, you can. You can charge whatever it costs you. And the maximum under California law this year is $62.02.
I understand. Okay. Linda from East Los Angeles, what are your approved websites that you recommend advertising on?
I don't personally have anything approved. However, I see a lot of clients using Zillow.com, apartments.com. I've seen some on Craigslist, and also Realtor and Redfin they use.
Got it. I want to elaborate a little bit more on yard signs. I know this is an increased concern with some of our landlords with some squatting issues that's been happening in or around the neighborhoods. And they said that they want to not advertise using these yard signs. What's your take on that?
No one has to use yard signs, and I've seen an uptick in people using them recently. I know there's a lot of concern of squatters recently as well. And as long as the landlord, I think, is diligent about checking the unit, I think you would be okay. However, it does host an issue where people will know that the unit is vacant in the building.
Right, understood. Our next question is Susie from Montebello. I like an applicant that I just screened. The family was able to verify income. The credit score is falling a little short for me. Can I ask for 2 months security deposit?
Legally, yes, you can currently. However, the law does change in California on July 1st. After July 1st, you are only allowed to ask for 1 month's security deposit, and that would be the maximum.
Okay. And this is July 1st of 2024.
Correct.
And let's say it's past July 1st of 2024. Can Susie ask, okay, she'll collect 1 month's security deposit per law, but can she ask for 2 or 3 months payment up front? So
the way California law works on security deposits, a security deposit is actually any money that's paid up front. That would include prepaid rent. So you are only allowed to ask for that 1 month security deposit and not prepaid rent of 6 months, for example, or even the last month's rent, because that would still be considered a security deposit.
I understand. Okay. Susie again from Montebello. Can I ask why they're leaving and who will they be living with?
So yes, as a landlord, you can ask a potential applicant why they're leaving their current apartment or house. However, you also can ask and require that every adult applicant fill out an application. You cannot ask the relationships between the persons who are going to be moving in. So for example, it would be considered discrimination against marital status and family status if you would ask questions like, are you two married? Are those your biological children, for example?
Right.
those would be illegal questions.
Understood. Well, amazing information, Anthony, and thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us today and providing all this amazing insight. These folks are just a few of the many questions we get. The good news is that we have a dedicated text hotline where you can send in your questions. Our team guarantees a response within 24 hours, and one of our experts will be available to provide you with advice. So if you have questions or need further insights, don't hesitate to reach out through our text hotline at 626-650-9547. You can find our contact information in the description below as well. We are here to assist you. Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Mary, for having me.